All right, our final video is monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition is a different market structure. Remember, it goes perfectly competitive. Monopolistic competition, oligopoly, monopoly. A monopolistic competition has a monopoly side and a competitive side. So we'll show both of those. That's why we have Harvey Dent and Two-Face here, right? So first, the monopoly side is they have control over the price because they have a differentiated product. Now, within reason, right? So monopolistic competition is like fast food restaurants where there's a ton of them, right? Or mattress sellers or something like that, where they have a slightly differentiated product, so they can change the price a little bit, and so they're price controllers. As a result, they don't have Mr. Darp. Their demand is greater than their marginal revenue, just like a monopoly. They're not efficient in any way, shape, or form, so they're not productively or allocatively efficient. And then they advertise a lot, right? We call that non-price competition. So they're not lowering their price to compete. They're actually putting out ads to try and say, hey, here's how we're different. Here's how we're better. On the competition side of things, there's tons of them, lots of firms, right? Think of how many restaurants there are out there. There's a gaggle of them, right? It's easy to enter. It's also easy to exit. Firms come and go. New restaurants open up, new restaurants shut down all the time. And then finally, in the long run, just like a perfectly competitive, economic profits will shrink to zero no matter what, because firms can enter and leave. There are profits, new firms enter, absorbing those extra profits. And if there are losses, firms will leave, redistributing the profits that did exist. All right. Now, important to keep in mind, these are differentiated products. That's kind of the main thing about monopolistic competition. But there are close substitutes, right? If you're looking for fast food, you can get Burger King, or you can get McDonald's, or Taco Bell, or Cane's Chicken, or Chick-fil-A, or whatever, right? Lots of options out there. So there are close substitutes. So firms rely on marketing in order to, or non-price competition, we call it, in order to compete. The goal is to advertise enough that your good or your service becomes inelastic, where people say, you know what, they could charge a higher price and I still buy it because I love what they have to offer. I agree with their differentiating factors that they talk about. So that's monopolistic competition. What's that look like in graphical form? Glad you asked. In the short run, it's a monopoly, just like any other monopoly, right? So we check out this one over here. We have a quantity where MR equals MC, just like before. Demand is not equal to MR. We have our ATC and our MC, everything, just like a monopoly. We're going to charge this high price, just like a monopoly. We're going to have this lower cost, just like a monopoly. And then we're going to have a profit, show you here, a profit right here between total revenue and total cost, right there. So we have a profitable firm in the short run. Also in the short run down here, our quantity is here. We have our MR equals MC. Our price is going to be where demand is, and our cost is going to be way up here, right? That's ATC, ATC. So we're actually going to have, in the short run, just like a monopoly, if it were in this case, we will have losses in the short run. In other words, in the short run, monopolistic competition looks identical and operates identical to a monopoly. In fact, the only way to know it's monopolistic competition is they have to tell you. And that's important because that unlocks when we get into the long run. Profits and losses are signals to the marketplace and to the rest of the economy, just like they were in our perfectly competitive firms. So if there's profitability, this one right here, profits, right? If there are profits, then new firms are going to enter. When those new firms enter, they actually take up some of the demand. All the other goods that were out there competing, when new firms come in, when new restaurants come in, they take up some of that demand for the restaurant. As a result, demand will shift to the left along with marginal revenue until we get to long-run equilibrium, which is right here. Long-run equilibrium is where price times quantity, total revenue, is equal to total cost. So TR equals TC, or where economic profit is zero. And we find that when margin or our demand is tangential to ATC at the profit maximizing quantity. So in the long run, profits bring new firms in, which lowers the demand for all of the existing firms until all those profits go away and we have an economic profit of zero, right? Same thing happens down here with the losses, but in the opposite way. When there are losses like this, firms leave. And when firms leave, there is a larger market share to go around. So the demand it's actually going to shift to the right. And when it shifts to the right, it's going to bring marginal revenue with it. So both of those are going to go right until we end up at ATC and demand being the same at our profit maximizing quantity. In other words, where we have an economic profit of 0. Final thing you need to know about this is these firms will produce as something called excess capacity. Oh, sorry, that's not the final thing. Before that, know that these are inefficient in the long run and the short run, right? In the short run here, we're inefficient because monopolies are inefficient. We're not allocatively efficient, where MC equals demand. We're not productively efficient, where ATC equals demand. Down here, we're not allocatively efficient or productively efficient, same reasons. And then here, we're not allocatively efficient. We're not producing where MR or where demand equals MC, sneaky supply, or here where ATC equals demand over here, right? We're not producing there, so we're not productively efficient. Sorry, MC equals ATC, the minimum point for productive efficiency. We're at neither of those points, which kind of look like the same point there, but we're at neither of those. We're producing way over here, right? So we are not efficient at all. Now, the final thing you need to know is excess capacity. Excess capacity means that we are able to, in the long run, produce, and this is only in the long run, LR, we're able to produce at the minimum amount, right? Our socially optimal quantity right here, average total cost is still going down, just like a natural monopoly. Same thing happens in the long run here. We turn into kind of a natural monopoly. We're able to produce at that minimum point, but we don't. Instead, we produce here, right? So the distance between our minimum cost production, which would be where MC equals ATC, and our actual quantity, that distance right there is going to be our extra or excess capacity. It means we have the capacity to build more, produce more, but we don't. Just like if you're driving your car at 10 miles an hour, it has the capacity to go faster. It just doesn't. We call it excess capacity, distance between the quantity, our profit maximizing quantity where I'm producing, and our productively efficient quantity, which is where minimum ATC or where MC equals ATC. All right, that's everything you need to know for this test. Good luck. Make sure you check out the FRQ video where I draw Monopoly from scratch. All right, peace.